All right, now UFC 307 takes place this Saturday. ALEXpereira versus Khalil Rountree Jr. in Salt Lake City, Utah. I want to give a full card breakdown for this event, giving a brief preview and a pick for every single fight on the card. We are going to start with the first fight of the night and work our way up. As usual, I try to go through some of the earlier fights a little bit faster so we can spend more time talking about the main event and things like that. So let us get started right away with that first fight of the night, which is Court McGee versus Tim Means. Now, I will be going with Tim Means for this one. Both guys are kind of at the end of their career, not doing so well as of late. I believe they're both on losing streaks. I think at least 3 fights, although Tim Means has gotten a little bit of tougher matchups, in my opinion. Court McGee's kind of been losing to guys that are at similar stages in their career or even later in their career than he is, whereas Tim Means' last fight was against Uros Medic, which is a tough matchup. Court McGee's chin seems to be going a little bit. He's been knocked out in, I think, 2 of his last 3 fights. And Tim Means, is a nasty dude on the feet. He can hurt guys. Still, we've seen him do that fairly recently. So I just think he's going to be able to get it done. I mean, they've both taken a lot of damage throughout their career. And who knows, maybe Court McGee lands a big shot and puts Tim Means out, because he is capable of doing that. Court McGee does have pretty good knockout power. And as they always say, that is the last thing to go. But I just think at the weight class they're at and where they're at in their career, I think I favor Tim Means a little bit in this one. Moving up the card to Carla Esparza versus Tisha Pennington. You know what, dude? Who cares? If I'm being honest, and I don't really want to pick this fight, because every time I try to think about a female fight, I end up being incorrect, because women's MMA is unbelievably difficult to predict, because, they're just, listen, dude. So what we're going to do is, I don't know if this has been done before. I would imagine it has. I'm going to flip a coin. Okay, now I'm going to do tails for Carla Esparza and heads for Tisha Pennington. I'm going to flip that right now. We will catch it and smack it. It's on heads, so I'm going to be going with Tisha Pennington for this one. Maybe that works out. She's a little bit younger, if I'm not mistaken. Carla Esparza has not looked all that great. Even in the fight that won her the championship, that was one of the most pathetic fights, maybe the most pathetic fight in UFC history. So I'm fine with that, dude. Now let's move up the card to Ryan Spann versus Ovince St. Preux. They've got Ryan Spann at a minus 340 here. I find that to be absolutely insane. I don't ever trust Ryan Spann, ever. I think Ryan Spann has some of the worst fight IQ of all time. I'm real sick and tired of hearing him pretend like he doesn't train or doesn't take this seriously, doesn't have coaches. Anytime he loses, but then when he gets a win, he says, yeah, well, I started taking it seriously now, but then he goes and loses again and he just spews the same bullshit, okay? I picked Anthony Smith to beat him both times. That did happen. Ryan Spann is not somebody that I don't think I'll ever pick him to win a fight. If I'm being honest, I picked Bogdan Guskov to beat him, who was a pretty sizable underdog in that matchup as well, and I ended up being correct for that one. So I'm going to go with Ovince St. Preux, dude. I understand he's older. He's not been looking very good. A lot of the attributes that he had that made him successful earlier on in his career, we don't really see much of, but I just don't trust Ryan Spann, dude. I don't trust him even a little bit. Now, he very well could go out there and knock out Ovince St. Preux. Like I said, he's older. End of his career. Not what he once used to be. But, I don't know, man. I can't trust Ryan Spann. Maybe this is a bad pick, but it is what it is. I think that technically speaking, if we don't factor in age and things like that, which I know is not, the best way to pick a fight, I think Ovince St. Preux is more technically sound than Ryan Spann. So that's what I'll be going with. I could unironically see him get a Von Flue choke or something along those lines. So big underdog pick there. Hopefully it pulls through. Moving up the card to Cesar Almeida versus Ihor Pretoria. I'm going to be going with Cesar Almeida here. He's a huge favorite. Don't know if I'd feel comfortable betting this one, because I do think that, while Cesar Almeida is a much better fighter, technically speaking, than Ihor Pretoria's got a lot more experience under his belt. And you never know, dude. He could vet it out and, could be a big upset. But I just think that Cesar Almeida is a good dude in terms of getting finishes and things like that. So I'm going to go with him to win. And Ihor Pretoria has not really impressed me ever, if I'm being honest. Nothing really stands out for me from Ihor Pretoria. So that's why I'll be going with Cesar Almeida. Although, like I said, I don't know that I would feel comfortable putting money on that fight, just because the odds are what they are. He's very inexperienced in terms of professional experience compared to Ihor Pretoria. So you never know. Also, it seems like he's moving up a weight class. Moving up the card too. Marina Rodriguez versus Aisman Lucindo. Okay. Shit, dude, I dropped my quarter. Well, I'm going to do the same method here. Now, initially, I was going to pick Marina Rodriguez as a slight underdog, because I just think that Lucindo here is not very good. technically speaking. She's a powerful individual, but I just don't think she's looked very good as of late. So, but, you know, and then I started thinking, well, this is women's MMA, so you never know. So I'm going to flip a coin yet again. Tails for Marina Rodriguez and heads for Iceman Lucindo. Heads, so I guess we're going with the Brazilian, who is the slight favorite. Damn, I don't really like that pick, dude. I might flip it. Fuck it. Marina Rodriguez. We're ignoring the coin toss for this one. Moving up the card, too. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Joaquin Buckley. I'm going to be another underdog pick here. Not as big as the first underdog pick, but I will be going with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I don't know, man. Joaquin Buckley, to me, is not all that good. Okay, and I know that he looked all right in his last few performances. He's had good performances, although the guy he fought last time showed that he really only had a right hand, and if that wasn't working, there's not much else going for him. He seemed to gas relatively quickly as well, so Joaquin Buckley was kind of able to, holy shit, dude, get on top of him and, just, grind out a win. When we're talking about his fight with Vicente Luque looked like he kind of quit in that one. It was a little odd, just sort of gave up on the ground. And I mean, Buckley wasn't even landing insanely damaging shots. They weren't connecting cleanly. It was, I don't know, man. And when I'm looking at Wonderboy Thompson and I look at the guys that have been able to control him on the ground, which is where I think Joaquin Buckley's going to want to take this fight. I don't think Joaquin Buckley's on the level of a Shavkat, of a Bilal, of a Gilbert Burns even, right? Because that was a few years back. This is not the Gilbert Burns of today. So, and Wonderboy Thompson, credit to him, the only guy that's been able to sub him out of those ones was Shavkat Rakhmonov, right? Like that Bilal Muhammad, the way Bilal Muhammad beat him is kind of aging well, considering how relatively dominantly Bilal Muhammad beat Leon Edwards. So I think Wonderboy Thompson's got underrated takedown defense a little bit. Oftentimes he ends up in trouble if he like slips or something like that or overextends on a strike, which is not all that often. It does sometimes come from a slip or getting knocked off balance while he's throwing a kick or something like that. And I think that on the feet, I think Wonderboy Thompson schools Joaquin Buckley. I don't even think it's close. I don't think Joaquin Buckley's going to be able to really get close to him. I think he's going to be a real tricky guy to deal with. He's going to be, side kicking that lead leg of Buckley. He's going to be side kicking the body like we've seen him do so many times. And doing that blitz, maybe Joaquin Buckley stays composed and conservative and just waits for a counter shot. But Wonderboy Thompson's a tricky dude to deal with. And while he's been losing more than he's been winning, I guess, as of recently, they're two pretty good guys. So I'm not going to hold it against him all that much, especially not at that age. So fuck it, dude. I'm going Wonderboy. Moving up the card, too. Roman Dolidze versus Kevin Holland. I'm going with Roman Dolidze here, another underdog pick for some reason. Listen, dude, Kevin Holland gets a lot of, I don't know if glaze is the right word, but he'll win a fight, and then the odds makers just love him. And I understand that he looked good in his last one against, that Polish dude. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head, but the name's on the tip of my tongue. It's driving me crazy. Michael Oleksiejczuk. Either way, Kevin Hall, that guy has no grappling ability whatsoever, and almost every single fight he's lost, I think he's been submitted. And so on the feet, Kevin Holland was going to be in some trouble. But when it hit the mat, or if it hit the mat, I could have seen Kevin Holland actually latching up a submission in that one. Like, it wasn't all that surprising to me. I could have seen a Darce or something like that happen if they were to clinch up for an extended period of time. Roman Dolidze, I don't think that's going to be the case. Now, Roman Dolidze's striking is not very good at all, in my opinion. But his grappling's good. His control's good. We just saw him go up a weight class at 205, and I know it was Anthony Smith, but he basically dominated that fight. He was able to control that guy in Anthony Smith, who's a lot bigger than Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland, historically, at middleweight, against guys that like to grapple, does horribly, right? Jacare Souza is like the only one I can think of off the top of my head that went in his favor. And it was because he landed that hammer shot off his back, right? And that was an older Jacare as well. But then when you look at guys like Derek Brunson, Marvin Vettori, guys like this, they're just kind of able to lay on top of them because they're a lot stronger. They're bigger. They're cutting to 185, whereas Kevin Holland's kind of like, I'll just show up fight week, I guess, and not have to worry about it. And on the feet, Kevin Holland's not looked as good recently, in my opinion, either, right? Like, he got completely schooled against MVP, and I understand that MVP is a much better striker than a Roman Dolidze, but Kevin Holland just kind of, hopes he can land a big shot, and I just feel like Roman Dolidze is going to be too strong and too powerful, and I think that even if Dolidze has to eat a shot or two, I don't think he's just going to get slept immediately, and so I think that Kevin Holland probably just gets ragdolled in this one and potentially submitted, who knows. Kevin Holland's pretty good at when it comes to pure jiu-jitsu, but you know, he's not good at getting back to his feet. He's not strong compared to these dudes at middleweight. And, yeah, I just think he's going to get ragdolled. Moving up the card, this is the only woman's fight that I will not be flipping a coin for. I do understand that I just ignored, you know, the coin flip last time. But either way, dude, Ketlen Vieira versus Kayla Harrison. Easy for me. Kayla Harrison. You know, I'm not sure why she's not fighting for the title. Maybe they want Juliana Pena to win because Raquel Pennington is the most embarrassing excuse for a champion of all time in terms of fight promotion and ability. Okay, so maybe they want Kayla Harrison's victory to the belt to be a little bit more, I don't know, legitimate, seemingly legitimate, right? But I think Kayla Harrison, I mean, listen, Ketlen Vieira's probably got some grappling ability, but I just don't think any of these chicks are going to be able to really hang with her. I see a lot of people act as though judo is like wrestling and that Kayla Harrison doesn't know how to submit people and shit like that. Like, that's not really correct, right? Judo, I mean, Ronda Rousey was a judoka. She was able to armbar a ton of ladies. Kayla Harrison's much bigger, much more successful judo career, by the way, than Ronda Rousey. I mean, I think that Kayla Harrison probably ragdolls Ketlen Vieira. Now, maybe Ketlen tries to stay away, unlike Holly Holm. I couldn't believe my fucking eyes, if I'm being honest. Now, I know that Holly Holm, her ability has diminished significantly over the years, and even her fight style has changed in the way that she used to be kind of a more at-range chick. She would hit you with those side kicks to the leg or oblique kicks even, and, you know, like knee stomp type shit. Used, you know, some longer techniques. Her boxing was decent because she used to be a boxer before making her way over to mixed martial arts. But over the years, you see her devolve into this, like, I'm going to push you up against the cage and that's it, kind of. And I remember thinking to myself, there's no way she's going to do that in the Kayla Harrison fight, right? But I guess that habit was really hard to break because she did it almost immediately, and that resulted in what we saw. So, you know, maybe Ketlen tries to stay away at range a little bit, but I just think it's a matter of time before Kayla Harrison gets to her, takes her down, and either beats the shit out of her or submits her, you know? Because I don't think there's any woman in the bantamweight division at this point in time that is going to be competitive with the likes of Kayla Harrison. The bantamweight division's looking pretty pathetic recently, if we're being honest. All right, moving up the card too. Jose Aldo versus Mario Bautista. You know what, man? I'm picking a lot of underdogs on this card. I'm going to go with Jose Aldo. Reason being is Jose Aldo, dude, I miss guys like Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo, we need more strikers like Jose Aldo. This guy has phenomenal takedown defense. Not only does he have really good takedown defense, if you get him down, the guy is a really good grappler as well, right? So he built a striking game that allowed him to do the work on the feet that he wanted to do. Chuck Liddell-esque, in a way. Chuck Liddell was not as well-versed on the ground as a Jose Aldo, but he had really good takedown defense because he knew, I want to keep this shit standing, so I'm going to make sure I don't get put on my back. Whereas Jose Aldo's got like multiple lines of defense, right? He can defend a takedown initially. He can get back to his feet if he wants to, or he can roll with you and grapple and cause problems for you down there. Now, I don't think he's going to want to hang out on the ground with a Mario Bautista. Long dude, long lanky dude, very good submissions. Striking, not as good as his grappling. If you look at his victories, the vast majority of his finishes are by way of submission. So I think that Mario Bautista is going to try to be getting this fight to the ground, and I just don't think it's going to be as easy as, you know, people might think it is. I think Jose Aldo is going to show us, you know, what Jose Aldo fucking does. He's going to defend takedowns, make it difficult for Mario Bautista. I think even if he gets taken down, he's probably not just going to roll over and get submitted. And, you know, I picked, if I'm not mistaken, I picked Jonathan Martinez to beat Aldo last time out, and I was, you know, pleasantly surprised with Jose Aldo's performance. That was a very fun fight to watch. His boxing looks phenomenal. I would like to see him get back to the leg kicks a little bit more, but I know people have been saying that for years. Maybe there's some injury or something along those lines that makes him not want to. Maybe he just doesn't want to get taken down. Just, you know, who knows, but his leg kicks are devastating, especially against a guy like Bautista who's got pretty skinny legs. But yeah, I thought that against Martinez as well. But I just think and also it seems like Jose Aldo had a bit of a chin revival, right? Because we saw him get TKO'd twice against Max. We saw him get knocked out by Conor. We saw him get TKO'd by Piotr Jan. That was one of the worst beatings in recent memory. That wasn't even that was a good chunk of time ago, but that ref got, he quit over it because it was such a bad beatdown that he let happen. But then we've seen Jose Aldo go on to beat guys like Rob Font, Marlon Moraes, like all these dudes at a lower weight class, which is kind of crazy to think about. Cheeto, right? So it seems like his chin is not as in danger as it would have been even 5-6 years ago, which is weird. Maybe the power differential between bantamweights and featherweights is that substantial. Who knows? But I'm going to go with Jose Aldo. I think he's going to be able to make it tricky for Bautista to get him down. And I think he's going to do work on the feet because I think in the striking department he's a lot better than a guy like Bautista. I do think Bautista is very good, but, you know, we'll see. Moving up the card, 2, Raquel Pennington versus Juliana Pena. Now, my gut says Juliana Pena, but you never know, dude. I think that, listen, this is so rude, but I think Raquel Pennington being a champion in the UFC is, like, embarrassing. I think it's one of the worst outcomes that the UFC could possibly ask for. I think there's nothing that she does well. But Juliana Pena looks like shit most of the time when she fights as well. Her jiu-jitsu's all right. Her striking is disgusting, like god-awful. Closes her eyes and breaststrokes. It looks like she's like an inflatable arm flailing tube man running down a hill with her eyes closed. It's the craziest thing. So while I feel like Juliana Pena should be able to get it done, I also thought Maria Bueno Silva would be able to get it done. Raquel Pennington, if I could, I guess I'll just try to say something nice about her, is somewhat durable, right? Like Bueno Silva was able to get her in some positions that other chicks weren't able to escape. Raquel Pennington was fine and able to get out of it. All that being said, I'm going to flip a coin because I have no fucking clue and nor do I care. So, tails for Raquel Pennington. Okay, the grumpiest lesbian maybe of all time. And Juliana Pena, it will be heads. We're flipping heads. So, I guess I'll go Juliana Pena, who is a slight underdog here. You know, either way. Moving up the card, okay? Alex Pereira versus Khalil Rountree Jr. I understand a lot of people are upset by this fight being made. Something I will point out in defense of Alex Pereira, which I understand, I'm wearing an Alex Pereira shirt, probably not the person to be offering up defenses for him without being called biased. Doesn't fucking matter. When you've got a champion who is as active and does as many favors for the UFC as an Alex Pereira, I'm not mad at a fight like this every once in a while, okay? If you've got a guy that is active, the most active champion currently in the UFC is Alex Pereira. He has saved the occasion, UFC 300. Both fights with Yuri were short notice. Like, this guy has done so many fucking favors for the UFC. And I understand that people are upset because he's not fighting Magomed Ankalaev. I don't give a fuck, okay? I would like to see him fight Magomed Ankalaev. I actually think Alex Pereira beats Magomed Ankalaev, but I'm not mad at this fight for that reason, okay? He has done enough favors. He is more active than anybody in his division as the champion, bro. Like, give him a fucking... If he wants to fight on this day because he's trying to make hay while the sun shines, make it fucking happen. I don't care. I just don't. That being said, obviously, I'll be picking Alex Pereira. He's only, I picked him every single fight. He's only proved me wrong one time, I guess, getting knocked out against Israel Adesanya. I think that the striking differential is going to be just much, much, much too vast, even though Khalil Rountree Jr. is a very skilled Muay Thai practitioner. Now, one thing that I find to be interesting about this fight is Khalil Rountree Jr. is a southpaw, which a lot of people made a big stink about that going into the Jamal Hill fight. But the thing is that if you watch Alex Pereira's kickboxing fights and even MMA fights against southpaws, like, he still has success there. He can land the lead leg kick rather than landing with the rear to the outside calf. It's not an issue for him. Jamal Hill's a lot heavier on that lead leg than a guy like Khalil Rountree Jr. because of his Muay Thai style. He's usually picking it up, and it's really light on that front foot. He's straight up, picking up the lead leg, right? Now, I could see it being tricky for Alex Pereira to land that lead leg kick, especially because you got to do a little switch with it. But if there's anybody that can time it, I think it would be Alex Pereira. He's got some of the best timing on leg kicks I've ever seen, period. I think, like, he is so good at just hop, 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 and as soon as your foot's planted, he whacks it out there. And because there's so little telegraph, he doesn't turn his hips over all the way. Oftentimes he's able to get dudes. I mean, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to pick it, other than I know Alex Pereira is going to win, or I think at the very least. I mean, we could see the body jab setup to the left hook, obviously, which worked on both southpaws and orthodox. We could see the kick setup, the switch kick setup that he did against Yuri Prochazka, where he was throwing to the body a lot, and all of a sudden Yuri Prochazka goes to clamp down on a body kick like a hungry hippo, and a switch kick goes upside the head. We could see a scissor knee or something along those lines. Khalil Rountree Jr. does tend to, duck a little bit sometimes, or dip down rather. And he's not short by any means. He's 6'1", but he's shorter than a lot of the guys Alex Pereira has been facing. So maybe that knee presents itself a little easier than it did on some of the others. I just think that we see what Alex Pereira usually does. I think he just does that, right? I think he'll try to land that lead leg kick. If Khalil checks it or it's tricky to land, he'll go to something else. The thing is, though, is that leg kick's pretty important to that body jab setup or even the body kick setup, right? Because the leg kicks are something to like always keep your mind busy. And then he'll start throwing the bigger shots. So he'll throw the leg kicks and then he'll throw a body jab and then a body jab and then a leg kick, right? And so you're constantly thinking about the leg kicks because they are debilitating. And then he's able to use you being focused on that to set up other shit. If he can't land his leg kicks, that is pretty significant. I do think he'll be able to do so. Maybe not as much as on a guy like Yuri Prochazka or something, but the good thing about Alex Pereira is he's got a lot of different setups. We just don't see them that often because, why would you try something more complicated when like one of the easiest, most basic setups of all time works for you almost every time? Body jab, body jab, body jab, left hook, right? Like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But he does have other things he can go to. We've seen him knock out guys with kicks. We've seen him knock out guys with knees. His right hand is powerful as well. So I see a knockout here. I don't know if it comes early. I don't think it makes it past 3 rounds is what I'll say. I don't think it makes it past 2 if I'm being honest. So Alex Pereira by knockout. I will be doing a live fight companion for this event. I usually do. I will be in full face paint and I will have on a native headdress. Okay, so get mad. I guess if you get mad about that kind of shit, but either way, dude, that's it. 307 this Saturday. Like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I will see you at the next video. Bye-bye.